Hey everybody, Scott Spreitzer here, DocSports.com, and welcome to the update for Tuesday, November 13th, 2018. Free pick coming up in just a moment. First, a quick note, if you've yet to become a member over at Doc Sports, all you got to do is click on the link below the video. Get set up for a free $60 account. Great way to try out DocSports.com, and it's free. It's $60 free account. You can use it on any of my daily packages or anybody else over at DocSports.com. And it all starts just by clicking on the link below the video. Free pick coming up in Tuesday night college basketball in just a moment. Hope you're with us over on the college basketball premium side of things last night over at DocSports.com. We had our first 6-unit play last night in college basketball, and it won big with Belmont over Middle Tennessee. It wasn't good at halftime. We were laying 8.5, 9 points, depending on when you got it. And they were down by 8 outright at halftime. Came back and won by 19 points, put up over 90 points in the game. We thought Belmont would roll. We didn't know that it would take into the second half. It did, but we get the win by 19 points. Big second half out of Belmont. Wanted to mention also that here on the report, we did lose late in the Monday Night Football game. Our free play was the under 45 between the Giants and the Niners. And obviously that one went over the total late in the game, that game-winning touchdown by the New York Giants. So the Giants cover and the over got the money as far as the total. Wanted to mention also real quickly that one of the biggest props I saw betting-wise was sent to us by the gang over at William Hill. It was an email that I got on Monday late afternoon, maybe an hour or so before kickoff, and it was over under receiving yards for Odell Beckham. It was 98.5, and they were getting just hammered with over tickets and over money. In fact, it was like 85% of the tickets over 98.5, over 90% of the overall money was on Odell Beckham over 98.5 receiving yards, and he finished with, 5 grabs for 74 or 5 grabs for about 73, 74 yards, and the game goes way under the total. Books had to have liked that, at least the William Hill books who posted that prop. Also wanted to mention that with that college basketball winner, we're now 71% against the spread so far this college season, and plays rated 4 stars or higher, perfect 3-0 in college basketball. We do have action on Tuesday. The plays will be available at DocSports.com at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Pacific in Tuesday's college basketball action. Not sure we'll be involved in the NBA yet. Only a couple of games. One of them is not lined at the time of this video, so we'll handicap that early in the morning. And if we do any NHL, that'll also be up during the day on Tuesday. Real quick note about the upcoming football weekend. As you know, we've been red hot for about 6 weeks, 42-21 combined run, 67% college football and the NFL. We are 12-1-1 the last 7 weeks with our top college football and top NFL plays. We cashed another 7-star last weekend in college with the Ohio State Buckeyes, 1-0-1 last week, 12-1-1 our last 7 weeks, and I'm going to have a 7-star college football game of the month go in on Saturday. Got them all capped, and all we got to do now is wait for the Thursday release time. Thursday afternoon over at DocSports.com. Go sign up now and get the entire week of college and pro football at DocSports.com. And again, those plays will be released on Thursday afternoon. This is the long video. It's Tuesday. That means we're going to be talking about NFL recap and just stuff that we see, on the highlight shows on TV, also reading on the different pages that we use on the internet for pertinent information that we like to use for our handicapping in the NFL. And we've had a heck of an NFL run over the past year plus, and we're going to continue that this week. I expect to, obviously. One of the things that helps is this recap that I do every week. And if you want to see them in detail, typed up, written fashion, that whole thing, go over to DocSports.com on a Wednesday afternoon. Click on my handicappers homepage at the bottom of the screen. You can click on my notes for NFL Week 10, and you can get them all in detail. If you'd rather do that than listen to the video. But anyway, college basketball free play for Tuesday coming up in just a bit. Week 10 recap in the NFL. These are in no particular order, just as we write down the notes. Jaguars and Colts. Colts 29-26. Game ended in a push. Jaguars had a chance near the end of the game. They were inside the Colts 25-yard line in the final minutes, but they did turn the ball over inside the 25. They've lost 5 straight games. They trailed the Texans by 3 games in the division. The Colts, by the way, they're averaging 36 points per game during their 3-game winning streak. Andrew Luck, 3 or more touchdown passes in 6 straight games. They're hosting Tennessee. More on that in a bit. The Bills, boy, one of the surprising scores of the day on Sunday. The Bills whipped the Jets 41-10. And that's the 4th losing streak of 4 or more games in 4 seasons under Todd Bowles, but it looks like the Jets are going to keep him around until the end of the season. Barkley, he played okay at 15 of 25 passing, 232 yards, couple of touchdowns. He also benefited from LaShawn McCoy, who ran for $113 on 26 carries. He had a couple of touchdowns. Listen, Foster and Jones, man, they combined for 11 receptions for 198 yards and a touchdown. The Bills before this game had a touchdown, just one, and 11 turnovers in their previous 3 games combined. They had 5 touchdowns and no turnovers against the Jets with Barkley at the helm. The Atlanta Falcons were our top play of the season so far. Last week when they took on Washington and they whipped Washington, we cashed it. They come back the next week. We didn't have the game, but they get whipped by the Cleveland Browns, 28-16. By the way, Atlanta had 73 plays on offense to 50 for Cleveland, but lost this game by 12 points. Of course, big day for Nick Chubb, 176 yards rushing, 92-yard running touchdown. They averaged 8.5 yards per play, thanks in part to that Chubb 92-yarder. Big statistical day again for Matty Ryan, man. 38 for 52, 330 yards, couple of touchdowns, no picks, but no win. And that's kind of been the case for Atlanta all year. Matt Ryan puts up big numbers. They don't win. At least they won for us with our big play last week over Washington. Bears knock off the Lions 34-22. By the way, that snapped the Bears' 10-game divisional losing streak. Trubisky getting great play calling from the sideline. He goes 23 for 30, 355 yards, 3 touchdown passes, no INTs. He ran for a touchdown. He's got 17 touchdowns, only 4 picks in his last 6 games. And I'll tell you what about Detroit. Without Golden Tate to open up the field and make defenses be a little bit more honest, they just clamped down on Kerryon Johnson. He can't run the football very well the last couple of weeks. And since Golden Tate has been gone, Stafford's been sacked 16 times in 2 games. 10 times last week, 6 times this week in their loss to the Bears. The Cardinals and the Chiefs. The Chiefs won 26-14. Cardinals got the money. I want to mention this note that David Johnson carried the ball 21 times for 98 yards. 98 yards. This is a team in Arizona that is yet to have a 100-yard rushing game on the season. The only one in the NFL. Yet 2 more yards, and they would have taken care of that out of David Johnson, which just shows, again, you can run the football on the Kansas City Chiefs. Can't wait till that game next Monday against the Rams in Mexico City. There ought to be an over-under prop on rushing yardage combined by the 2 teams of about 450 yards or whatever. Both teams are going to be able to run the football, you'd think, in that one. Titans knock off the Patriots 34-10. Tennessee sacked Brady 3 times. He never looked comfortable. He was 21 for 41. And I will say this. Rodney Harrison, the former Patriot, talked about this during the week last week. And this is why I like to take notes and surf around the web and watch reports on TV. When he and Mike Vrabel both played for the Patriots, Rodney Harrison said last week that one of the things they noticed is if you pressure Tom Brady up the middle, take away the middle of the field, he's not the same quarterback. Well, Tennessee's defense proved that this past weekend. Vrabel had a terrific game plan, and it was like only one who knew the system could devise. They put so much effort into beating New England last week. Makes you wonder where this team's mindset is going to be when they travel to Indy to take on the Colts on Sunday. Colts, by the way, a 2.5-point home favorite in that one. Another good game by Marcus Mariota. Didn't make mistakes. 16 for 24, 228 through the air, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Part of the reason, Henry and Lewis, 31 combined carries, 115 yards, couple of touchdowns. One more note on this game. This is the worst loss by New England since September of 2014 when KC beat them 41-14. The very next week, New England was a 1-point dog to Cincy. They beat Cincy 43-17. They went on to win the Super Bowl that year. And finally, 7-3, current New England record, is their worst start in 5 years. Last time they started, this badly, so to speak, they did not make it to the Super Bowl. Just a couple of quick notes there. They got hammered on the ground by Tennessee on Sunday. Chargers wait for the Raiders to make enough mistakes, and they capitalize and win 20-6. Derek Carr's an absolute mess. That's all I'm going to say. Chargers 6-game winning streak. They've held 5 straight opponents to fewer than 20 points. Phillip Rivers, the only quarterback in the NFL right now with 2 or more touchdown passes in every game on the season. No need to even go into detail on how bad Derek Carr was at times for the Oakland Raiders the other day. He's just not getting it right now, man. He's got problems between the ears when it comes to reading defenses and making smart plays. 4th down, and he's throwing the ball into the ground to avoid a sack. Totally lost track. At least it looked that way of what was going on in the game. Dolphins and Green Bay. Packers get the 31-12 win and the cover. Big day rushing yardage for the Green Bay Packers. We saw him being able to run the football, Aaron Jones in particular. That means Rodgers doesn't have to do everything. He goes 19 for 28, $199 through the air, a couple of touchdowns, no picks. Aaron Rodgers, 17 touchdowns, only one INT on the season. Again, they just ran right through Miami. And that's the thing about Miami this year, guys. They've allowed 150 or more rushing yards 5 times this season. Terrible against the run. Green Bay now 4-0-1 at home, 0-4 on the road. Skins knock off the Buccaneers 16-3. This is the craziest stat of all. Tampa Bay, 501 yards, total offense, 7.5 yards per play, 3 points. That's almost impossible. They were 0 for 5 in the red zone, and they're the first team, by the way, in the NFL to gain over 500 yards of offense and score 3 points or less. Horrible. 0 for 5, as I mentioned, in the red zone. Minus 19 turnover margin this season, worst in the NFL. They've had 7 straight games, the Buccaneers, with a -2 or more turnover margin. Second worst, second longest in NFL history. Skins get outgained by 220 yards but win the game because of Tampa Bay's ineptitude. Saints just crushed the Bengals, 51-14. What a tough game for New Orleans to have to get up for, coming off of 3 or 4 straight intense football games, playoff atmosphere the week before they beat the Rams. They go into Cincy and just make them look like a junior high school. I mean, 51-14. Breeze goes 22 for 25, 265, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He's got 21 touchdowns, only 1 INT on the season. Ingram and Kamara, they combined 25 carries, about 160 yards, 3 touchdowns between the two of them. Michael Thomas, another big day catching the football. Dalton was horrible for Cincinnati, not that it was all his fault. The Saints had 6 touchdowns and 3 field goals in its first 9 possessions. What do they do on Tuesday? On Monday, they fire the defensive coordinator. They put Marvin Lewis in charge of the defense, not just as a head coach. He's got to be gone. My gosh, how many chances does Marvin Lewis get? Seahawks, they lose to the Rams 36-31. How about this? You've got Russell Wilson now, 6 touchdown passes, no interceptions, and his team has put up 62 points in 2 games against the Rams, yet they're 0-2. He had a good game, did Russell Wilson. 3 touchdown passes, no picks, 92 yards rushing. Penny had 12 carries for 108 yards. Seattle ran for 273 on 8 yards per carry against the Rams, just like the Chiefs. Just like I mentioned a few minutes ago, you can run on the Rams, you can run on the Chiefs. These two teams ought to be running all over the football field in Mexico City. Some bad news for the Rams. They lose Cooper Kupp for the rest of the season. One more note on this. Seattle's only 4-5 straight up. Their 5 losses have come by a grand total this year of 25 points. This team, best 4-5 team you're probably going to see. Dallas on Sunday night knocks off the Eagles 27-20. Philly had 420 yards. Philly averaged 7 yards per play almost. The bottom line was they had too many injuries in the secondary, and they had the offensive right tackle injury. That's what it came down to as far as Philly was concerned. And then on the other side of the football for Dallas, listen, Amari Cooper opened up the field. We didn't think he would in game 1, and he didn't last week against Tennessee. But in this game, he opened up the field against a banged-up secondary. Dak Prescott was able to throw efficient football all game long, and they ran the ball. I mean, Zeke Elliott had 150 yards on the ground. If Amari Cooper can open up the field a little bit for this team and they can't focus on 1 or 2 offensive players opposing defenses, Dallas might win a couple more games, I'm telling you. And then, of course, on Monday night, the Giants with that late touchdown drive come from behind, beat San Francisco 27-23. The total ekes to the over. And again, I mentioned what happened. I think I mentioned what happened earlier. Odell Beckham goes under 98.5 yards on the receiving prop. Big prop action over at William Hill on the over on that one, so they did well there. Eli, 3 touchdowns, no picks. San Francisco, nice game out of Matt Breida. He had, 101 yards, I believe it was, on 17 carries. Listen, I like Nick Mullins, but you knew he was going to regress. He had 2 picks in the game on Monday night. And that is your Week 10 NFL recap. Again, if you'd like to see it in print, go over to the DocSports.com homepage. Click on my handicapper homepage. At the bottom of the page, you'll see my Week 10 NFL recap notes, and those will be up on Wednesday afternoon. Again, before we get to the free play, college basketball hit the big 6-star on Monday night, our only play on Monday on Belmont. We're going to come back with a couple of plays on Tuesday's card. in college baskets, and those will be available 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. 71% is our current run. That's what we are on the season in college basketball at DocSports.com. Let's look at the battle between Riverside and UNLV, our free college basketball play for Tuesday. Rebels laying 11.5 to 12. Normally, I don't want to lay a lot of points with the running Rebels. I don't like Marvin Menzies as a coach for this program. They had 24 turnovers against Loyola Marymount. Vegas played well. Opening half, they were fine. They were playing good on the defensive end. Can't make a shot, can't hang on to the rock. They lose the game 61 to 50. They've lost 7 of the last 8 games. 7 losses by 14 points per game, or 96 points. I know they've got a bad spread record in their last 24 games, but Riverside is not a good team either. They had 24 turnovers in one of their games. They got thumped by Oregon State. That's nothing to be ashamed about because Oregon State's a pretty good basketball team this year. But I think that UNLV is going to get it together, be a little bit too much for Riverside in this one. I can see a final score, where UNLV wins by about 16 to 18 points in this contest. Just hang on to the basketball, and you'll have a better chance of covering point spread. So we're going to back UNLV. They're laying 11.5 to 12. We think they have just what the doctor ordered to get right back in the win column and to win by a spread covering margin. All right, that's your free play for Tuesday night. Again, check out college basketball, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Pacific at DocSports.com. We'll also have, if we get involved in the NBA, it'll be available during the day along with the NHL. Don't forget about this week's college and NFL package over at DocSports.com. That's going to do it for Tuesday. We'll be right back here Wednesday morning, 4 a.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. Pacific. And again, if you like what you're seeing here, click on that thumbs up button. Be sure to subscribe. We appreciate those who have done so thus far. I'm Scott Spreitzer, DocSports.com. Let's put Tuesday in the win column right back here Wednesday morning.